Hi, welcome to Luxury in Moderation, where we appreciate the finer things in life without going overboard. Today, I have a very exciting new to me bag that I wanted to share with you all. And as we are talking about pre-loved items, I thought it would be really helpful for me to share the wear and tear on my bags and just how my items have been holding up after another year of use. So without further ado, let's get into the first part of the video. Okay, so as you can see, this bag came in the Fashionphile dust bag. I did order this from Fashionphile, and I've ordered a few different things from Fashionphile, so I do trust them, and I feel like they do have genuine items for the most part. So it came just like this in a box that I picked up from Neiman Marcus. And inside is this beautiful Burberry handbag. And I'll share a little bit about why I picked this bag and what I'm going to use it for. But just to give you a quick tour of the bag itself, we have two top handles. We have a gold tag that says Burberry. And for a pre-loved item, it actually is not that scratched up. I'm surprised that it's not that scratched up. On the bottom, we have this interesting design that brings all the leather pieces together, and it looks like it is sewn together. And I'm also giving it a quick once over. Like, I don't see any major issues with the bag. Like, not a lot of obvious wear and tear to me. The back is just plain with, the Burberry embossed design. And then it also has a shoulder strap. So it's a little bit thin, I would say. And it clips onto the top handles. Inside, there's a little D-ring on the diagonal side of the top handles. For those of you who have watched my videos before, you'll know that I actually don't love the way that the strap connects. This isn't my favorite way that a strap would hang a bag, because I just find it a little bit more annoying that it's like going across the top of the flap and not like hanging off two D-rings off the side. But honestly, it's not that big of a deal. You can adjust the strap length, and then on the inside we have a zippered pocket that's quite large. And then on the other side, we have two slip pockets. So in terms of size, I know that this is a little bit bigger than my Garden Party 30, but it's not as big as my Garden Party 36. So I'm guessing that the width is around 33, 34, but I will write the dimensions in the bottom box. And there's actually a name for this bag. I totally, again, forgot everything about the details, but I'll have it in the description box. And then finally, let's just talk a little bit about the leather. I was actually a little bit surprised that the texture of the leather is very large. Like, all of these bumps are very, very big. I don't know if that's natural. To me, it looks so giant. It looks like dinosaur skin to me. Of course, you have the subtle, Burberry lines as well, but just the big bumps on the leather I don't think it looks the best. But at the same time, I cannot complain about this bag, and the reason why I wanted to share with you the amazing deal I got on it is because I only paid $500. And I find that to be a very exceptional price for a leather bag as big as this one, for the one of the best known luxury brands. This isn't an up and coming brand. This is Burberry, and I would say it's up there in terms of being known as a luxury brand. In terms of the leather quality, like, as I'm touching it, obviously it's not the best leather quality. You can't compare to, the Hermes leathers. I think it does feel a little plasticky, but a lot of leathers these days do feel kind of plasticky to me because they're so coated with, scratch resistant coating that's clear. I do feel like the leather is thick. It does look like it has very consistent glazing. Given that it is a Burberry bag, it's a leather bag, it's this big, and it's pre-loved, and in the condition that it's in where I really can't see any like horrible scratches and visible wear and tear, I would say $500 for this bag is amazing. And I'm really, really glad that I found this. When I came across this listing, I was just looking at shoulder bags, handbags on Fashionphile, just trying to see what's out there. And when I came across this one, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like the perfect size for what I'm looking for in terms of an everyday work bag. And in my previous video, I know I just said that I was using my Garden Party 30 as my everyday work bag, but while I think it looks amazing and it's super practical as my work bag, sometimes I do get just a little bit tired of having to hold the top handle all the time or putting it in the crook of my arm. Sometimes, you know, I have a giant water bottle that I try to throw inside as well, but it's just a little bit too heavy, you know, when it's all filled with water, and it's also a little bit big. And as you can see, you know, the Burberry bag is bigger, so the Burberry bag can fit just a little bit more, and sometimes I do feel like I need that little bit more. So I felt like the Burberry bag had the top handle similar to the Garden Party, but it also had the versatility of the strap in case I needed to just sling it over for, you know, 10 minutes. I could give my hands or the crook of my arm a break and really just, you know, throw my hands about, carry a box, whatever I needed to do that day, where the strap would come in super useful. So let's talk a little bit more about the condition of the bag. It looks like it's a little bit squished here, so I don't know if that was because of how it was stored before or in shipping, but I'm sure if I can shape the bag fine for, you know, how I store it, it'll look fine. And then actually the only part where I see actual wear and tear on this bag is on this D-ring. So I'm gonna unsnap the strap for you guys to see. You can see that it's supposed to be gold, but there are black lines across it, and it's just like clearly scratched up. But again, who is going to see this D-ring other than me, right? And it's interesting that the other D-ring actually looks completely fine. So honestly, the biggest thing I was worried about this bag and like why I was questioning that it was costing so little is because I thought it was gonna smell or something, you know? I was like, what's wrong with this bag that it seems to be a steal and it's up for me to grab? But I'm going to start using this in the new year, so hopefully that will work out great. I've actually decided to put my Samorga organizer from my garden party straight into the bag. Now, the Samorga organizer is a little bit short because the Burberry bag is longer. So there's about 2-3 inches of space right there where I could actually tuck my water bottle, so that actually works out. Oh, and inside the bag it actually did come with an original tag, so I have a reference here, but I have no idea how old this bag is and when it came out, so this might be, you know, 5 years old or even longer. It says MSRP USD was originally $1,495, but actually I think it went on sale because on the back there is another faded tag that says it is now $1,050. So whoever owned this bag originally probably got it for around $1,000, and now I own it for about half of that. So again, I thought this was a really amazing score, and I hope that if you're looking for a bag, maybe you'll find a great deal on Fashionphile as well. But as we transition into the second part of the video and talk about the wear and tear of my bags, I think it'll be a good time to give my garden party a break because I do see that the corners are starting to sag a little bit. And it's happening on all four corners. You can kind of see the dent that it's coming in here. And you know, that's just because of the construction of the bag, the weight of the leather, natural gravity. All of this is very normal wear and tear, but I just, you know, want to prolong that process as long as possible. So again, I think it'll be a good time for me to give this bag a break. The way I'm going to do that is I'm not going to set the bag down just normally and store it like that, because that's actually what's causing this creasing and just having the weight of the bag just all on the corners here. I'm actually going to start out by hanging it to try to see if that will relieve some of the pressure on the corners, and then sometimes I also store it lying on its side so it can actually flatten out these edges. So I think after a couple months it might look better. Now moving on to some other items which I wanted to show you the wear and tear of, just because, you know, if you're looking at these items, if you have these items and you want to make sure they can stay the best shape that they can, please notice, you know, what's been happening to my pieces. I don't wear my bags particularly hard, but I also don't baby them either. So these are just some signs for you if you're interested or have any of these items. Okay, so the first item is going to have the most wear and tear because they are a pair of shoes, and obviously shoes get super dirty. These are my Hermes sandals. I already forgot what they're called, but I will pop that name on screen. I've owned these shoes for about 2 years now, and this year I actually did not use them as much. Last summer I used these almost every single day. They were my go-to sandal, but this year I just felt that they were a little bit heavy and they were not my go-to sandals. My go-to sandals were actually the Oran sandals, and I use these far, far less. Now, for some reason, they have gotten insanely dirty, even though I have not used them that much this year. You can see on the side, all of these parts are black because of, I don't know, dirt or me stepping on it or someone else stepping on me. Of course, it doesn't help that the color I chose was a very light pink and in the suede material that will attract dirt and trap it there and stain. So just be careful about those sides. So if you're interested in this style of sandal, I would recommend that you go with the leather options, not the suede options, and pick a darker color. I know they had some really cute yellow ones over the summer, which I think were in leather, so maybe they would hold up better than the suede. But again, yellow is going to show dirt, and you know, shoes are going to attract dirt. So if you love the color, make sure you protect it. Maybe make sure you are wiping it all the time, maybe after you wear it. I just don't have the patience for that. I mean, they're shoes. You're going to expect them to get dirty, but you know, you also want to look nice, right? Otherwise, why would I buy such an expensive pair of sandals? So I'm going to try to see if I can make it look any better than this, but you know, I don't want it to get to a point where it looks so gross that I am embarrassed to wear this in public, because then that would be useless. So fair warning. All right, now moving on to my hands down most used item of the entire year, which is my everyday SLG, my Louis Vuitton wallet. When I was closely examining this, I was actually surprised at how much wear and tear I saw, because last year, where I also used it quite often, it held up so well. I felt like this thing was indestructible. But I guess after another year of heavy, heavy use, I would say heavier use, I'm going to do close-ups of where you can see the wear and tear, in case, again, you have your own or you're interested in getting one of these. If these things are going to bother you, just making you guys all aware. Now, this is my car key. It's very heavy, and that's probably what adds to the damage of the wallet card holder, because it's like hitting all the different things. I'm actually going to take it off for the video because it's less distracting and also easier to hold up without that weight. The chain holding the car key is fine. And the place where I saw the most wear and tear is actually on this envelope design. So the front of the piece, which kind of makes sense. In this corner, the glazing is really wearing away. So you can see here, there's pink glazing up here. There's pink glazing down here. But in the corner, the pink glazing is gone. That is also happening on the other side. It looks a little bit worse on this side because this entire side, the pink glazing has gone, including the corner. Other than that, it's not like splitting. It's not like the pieces of canvas are splitting apart. It's just that the pink glazing is gone. So I think I can live with it. You know, it doesn't look terrible. Then where the zipper comes to an end and where the chain comes out of the zippered pocket, I would say these fabric zipper ends are also looking frayed or looking dirty. They're just looking, you know, more brown and black, and it looks like the top part here is fraying a little bit. And then finally, I do see that in this corner, there's a little crack where the glazing meets the canvas or whatever leather that is pink. So right along the edge here. I still think this is an amazingly constructed and quality piece, and I'm still going to use it very, very heavily next year. But, you know, there's really nothing I can do to protect this. I mean, I'm going to throw it in my handbags, and it's going to be about the convenience, not about babying this. So let's check in next year and see how much wear and tear there is there. All right, now getting into my bags, I actually think that most of my bags are in pretty good shape. I just wanted to share with you guys what I did find after inspecting them very, very closely. I would say a lot of these things are not big deals at all. I just wanted to share with you guys what I am seeing in case you're interested in how these bags wear and tear over time. So for my Birkin, pretty flawless. The only thing that I saw was at the bottom of the bag in this corner on the glazing on the side. There's a little bit of discoloration just on the brown glazing right there. There's just like a black line, and you know, I don't know if it's ink, I don't know what I set it down on or it touched, but it's super, super subtle. If I wasn't inspecting my bags for this video, I would not have noticed it at all. So I'm not super worried. I probably am gonna go over everything with a good leather cleaner at the end of this year anyways, just to make sure I'm hydrating all the leathers. I am wiping away anything that can be wiped away, and so maybe it'll disappear there, but very happy with how this has been holding up. For my Kelly, which is a vintage bag because it was actually my mother's, even though she didn't use it very heavily, and it came to me in very excellent condition. The only part that I see some kind of wear and tear, again, very, very subtly, is again on the corner. So this front corner, and you can see that it dips down a little bit. So the Kellys have these little feet, right, to hold the leather off of a table or wherever you're setting it. But this corner is dipping down because, you know, there's a lot of leather here that they are trying to sew together, right? So obviously nothing can lie flat. They're all like over each other, and then they're being sewn like that. So because this part of the bag dips low a little bit, I think this like fold that this seam right here that they've sewn actually does touch the table when I put it down. And so there's just a touch of fraying on the seam thread. But of course, this bag is black on black, so you can't really see the seam. But I see, you know, the thread is just lightening. It looks lighter. It looks a little bit gray. And so that's why I feel like it's rubbing a little bit against whatever surface. So again, everything else looks amazing, and pretty impressed with how this has been holding up. Now, unfortunately, I do have a bag that has shown a lot more wear and tear than I was expecting. When I inspected it for this video, I was surprised at how much wear and tear I was seeing, given that I don't use this bag all the time. The bag that I'm talking about is my Chanel wallet on chain. So this is in the caviar leather with the magnetic opening like that. In my last video, I did say that I used this like 6 times. So, you know, it hasn't gotten a lot of heavy use at all this year. But for some reason, and maybe I didn't notice this last year because I wasn't looking for it, along the edge of the flap, I'm just seeing a lot of nicks. Like, did my nail go there and like scratch it up there? There's a little nick where it's clear the leather has been scratched. So the pink color of the caviar overlay or dye is gone. On the other side here, the same situation. You know, again, these corners on luxury handbags are always going to be the first to show wear and tear, right? The 2 corners on the flap are really rubbing. They seem lighter in color. It's not the deep pink. Sometimes I also think my eyes play tricks on me because of shadows, and I think that it's actually dark and something has stained the corner. So then one time I went in and I was furiously rubbing the corner because I thought it was stained black, and it ended up, I think, just being a shadow, and I was just rubbing so hard that I was causing the pink leather color to go away. So I learned my lessons from that. Please be careful when you are cleaning and don't rub too hard because, you know, the color can come off. So definitely need to baby this bag a little bit more. I think it gets swung about and maybe hits things when I'm not noticing because it's so small when I bring it to events. And it's funny because, you know, the bottom edge where I actually, you know, use a lot because I set my bag down a lot on surfaces, the bottom looks fine. It's just the flap that's all scratched up. So, you know, I don't know if it is my own, you know, nails or rings maybe that have been hitting this when I've been opening and closing the bag. Next, we have my Pochette Métis, and this bag looks pretty great. The only place that I see any wear and tear is on the side glazing. So they have quite a lot of thick brown glaze on this bag. I know there was an issue when the first bags were coming out or a certain batch where the glazing was coming off. They seem to have fixed that, but basically in this curve right here, I can see some lighter colored scratches on the glazing, and I think it's because of the hardware hitting and running along the glazing. So you can see that it's a perfect height for this huge metal Louis Vuitton clip to be swinging back and forth across the glazing as I'm walking, as I'm, you know, using this bag. And so it's caused a little bit of rubbing where the glazing is just no longer as dark, but it's only on this side. The other side looks fine. So, you know, pretty happy with this, seeing as, you know, I did use the Pochette Métis very often. I think the Empreinte leather is a very good quality leather. I'm very happy with this bag and would definitely recommend it. And finally, I wanted to mention my Hermes. I wouldn't call this wear and tear, but I just wanted to show you guys the opening flap because I know some of you guys are curious on the leather scratching. So because the top flap goes over and clips under this circular hardware, the flap is meant to hook under a like squared notch. You can see on the bottom there. There's a part protruding from the circular part, and the leather is meant to go underneath that. So the leather is hooking onto metal itself. Now that is of course going to cause a dent. Leather is softer than metal, we all know that, and it's going to not look perfect because that is its job. So you can see here where you see that very bright reflection, that is the dent that the metal makes. And that was probably going to get worse as I use this bag for more and more years. But again, this is how this bag was designed. So I have no problem with this part getting worn. So I hope this video was helpful. I would love to hear what you guys think about my new Burberry handbag, and I would also love to hear about your most worn items. What wear and tear have you seen? And I thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate the time you spend with me on my channel, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!